Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
This is one of the craziest lawsuits I've ever heard about. Quite a few people sent this to me. Afroman, who might be known to you as a musician who did a song called Because I Got High. It's a good song. Afroman has been sued by law enforcement officers who raided his home. And they are suing him because during that raid, they were recorded by Afroman's security cameras. So Afroman later took the opportunity to use footage from his own security cameras shot inside his own house and put those into videos and TikToks and things like that. And the officers take umbrage with that, saying you can't use our likenesses in your videos. So they're suing him under an Ohio state law. And of course, the question is, were they really expecting privacy inside someone else's house? And by the way, during that raid, they found nothing of importance, nothing. So Afroman, who's, by the way, his real name is Joseph Edgar Foreman, has been sued by law enforcement officers who raided his house. He has promised to countersue for the undeniable damage this has had on my client's family, career, and property. Brian Planel wrote this for WXIX. 7 members of the Adams County Sheriff's Office who raided Joseph Foreman's home last year are now suing him, claiming, among other things, that he invaded their privacy. You know, the bolder you are, the funnier it is. They raided his house, found nothing, but say he's invading their privacy. 4 deputies, 2 sergeants, and a detective are claiming that Afroman took footage of their faces obtained during the raid and used it in music videos and social media posts without their consent, which could be a misdemeanor under Ohio Revised Code, depending on how you look at it. So that's what they claim it is, at least. They're also suing on civil grounds, saying that Foreman's use of their faces and their personas in the videos and social media posts resulted in their emotional distress, embarrassment, ridicule, loss of reputation, and humiliation. Plaintiffs say they're entitled to all of Foreman's profits from his use of the personas. That includes, according to the complaint, proceeds from the songs, music videos, and live event tickets, as well as the promotion of his Afroman brand, under which he sells beer, marijuana, t-shirts, and other merchandise. They're also asking for an injunction to take down all the videos and posts containing their personas. A Cincinnati attorney filed the suit in Adams County Common Pleas Court on March 13th against Foreman, his recording firm, and a Texas-based media distribution company. Not every law enforcement officer involved in the raid is named as a plaintiff. Some of them have common sense. Foreman, on Wednesday, posted on Instagram, promising to countersue for the undeniable damage this has had on him and his friends, etc. The sheriff's office conducted the armed raid of Foreman's Adams County home last August. Sheriff's deputies acted on a warrant. So they did have a warrant claiming that they'd find stuff on his property, but they didn't. They didn't. And as Afroman said, they come up here with AR-15s, traumatize my kids, destroy my property, kick in my door, rip up and destroy my camera system. Now, why would they be ripping up his camera system while they're doing something completely legal? Because they keep saying we had a warrant. Did the warrant say you can go in and damage the guy's security system? Would the warrant really say that? The suspicions turned out to be unfounded. Adams County Prosecutor's Office said the raid failed to turn up probative criminal evidence. According to the attorney working there, no charges were filed. They turned up no probative evidence, and no charges were ever filed. In a bizarre turn of events unrelated to the civil suit, the sheriff's office appeared to come up hundreds of dollars short, returning cash seized from Foreman's property. So it's a bizarre turn of events unrelated to the suit, because when the cops sued the man, they did not sue him for money that disappeared during the raid. And of course, why would they? But an independent investigation resolved the matter last month, saying that deputies had simply miscounted the money during the raid. And so when the money came up short, that was actually the correct number. The correct number was the smaller number. Bigger number, miscounting. Months after the raid, Foreman published 2 songs referencing it, Lemon Pound Cake and Will You Help Me Repair My Door? Somewhere down the road, these will be in a folklore class being taught as classics. Lemon Pound Cake and Will You Help Me Repair My Door? He also published accompanying music videos that include footage of the raid from his home surveillance cameras, as well as his wife's cell phone. The footage shows the faces of 7 of the plaintiffs, according to the lawsuit. Complaint says that Foreman also created dozens of videos and images of plaintiffs' personas and posted them on various social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok, and Instagram. The complaint specifically cites 7 Instagram posts, all of which have since been deleted. In one of them, according to the complaint, Foreman allegedly congratulated a law enforcement officer involved in the raid, saying, "Thank you for getting me 5.4 million hits on TikTok. I couldn't have done it without you. Congratulations again, you're famous for all the wrong reasons." The plaintiffs say they've been subjected to ridicule by people who saw Foreman's posts, and that the posts have made it more dangerous for them to carry out their duties. They also claim they've endured death threats by anonymous members of the public who have seen some of the above-described postings. Yeah, but the question is, number one, are you really saying that no one can photograph you while doing your job and show those photos to somebody else? Because that's not going to fly. Think about if this lawsuit is successful. Next time somebody sees police doing something and films it and then posts it someplace, they can get sued for that in Ohio if this lawsuit succeeds. And I can think of some cases where people filmed the police doing things that weren't that good. And when those videos became public knowledge, things happened later as a result of that wouldn't have happened if that film didn't exist. And so if you're trying to suppress people who are filming you doing your job, that's not going to go very well, I don't think. So the complaint claims that Foreman continuously used the plaintiff's personas without their prior consent in a manner that is willful, wanton, malicious, and shows conscious or reckless disregard for their rights. I read the complaint. I went and read the lawsuit. And then I went and looked up the Ohio Revised Code. And I wanted to see what exactly it says that you can and cannot do with someone else's persona. And here is the thing. As you can imagine, as you walk down the street and someone sees you or someone films that scene of you walking down the street, you're part of a much bigger image, right? You're part of this big image. And the question is, at what point is it about you versus what's going on overall? And so if a bunch of armed police with a search warrant kick down your door to the point where you have to write a song called "Will You Help Me Repair My Door?" and you're videotaping that, and you get the faces of the people who are doing this, along with everything else that's happening, and you then release those images of what happened, is it really about the face of the person or everything that's happening there? So it does say a use of an aspect of an individual's persona in connection with any news, public affairs, sports, broadcast, or account does not constitute a use for which consent is required. So if this qualifies as news, public affairs, sports broadcast, or account, it wouldn't qualify under this law, at least as far as the civil case goes. So the question is, was this news? I would argue that it is. But I also went and looked for other exemptions, because sometimes there's more than one exemption. I found another one that says, this chapter does not apply to any of the following: a literary work, dramatic work, fictional work, historical work, audiovisual work, or musical work, regardless of the media in which the work appears or is transmitted. So it does not apply to a musical work. And the question, of course, is, I think these are songs that the man wrote and videos that are supporting those songs. But it also does not apply to material that has political or newsworthy value. Material that has political or newsworthy value. I assure you that what he filmed happening in his house is both political and newsworthy. And notice that the subsection is disjunctive, meaning it only needs to be one or the other, not both. If it's political, he wins. If it's newsworthy, he wins. Oh, material that has political or newsworthy value. There you go. So that is an exemption to this statute. So there's a bunch of other ones that probably apply. But the real point is this: they can't forbid you from simply filming something that's happening and then displaying it to others, as long as you're doing this from a place that you've got the right to be filming. And there's no question that you have the right to be filming inside your own house with your own security system. And think of the absurdity of it otherwise. Because if this stands, a burglar could break into your house and then sue you for releasing the images of their persona in Ohio. That's what they're saying. Now they're saying, well, no, Steve. People say Steve. He's capitalizing on it, though. He's making money off of it. So he still had the right to film it. He's inside his own home. And by the way, think of the irony. He says he got footage of them trying to disable his security cameras. And by the way, he also apparently has footage of them miscounting his money. It seems to me that if there's any argument that something is newsworthy or political or part of a musical work, this would apply. So I don't know what will happen at the trial court level, okay? I hope that Joseph Edgar Foreman, or Afroman, has the wherewithal to pursue this and take it up, meaning that go up on appeal if you gotta, because this could not be good if it stood up this way. Because as you can imagine, there are a lot of people out there who see the police doing something and film them doing it. And all a police officer's got to do at that point is make sure his face is on camera one time. And then if that person puts it on YouTube, well, they've monetized it to put it on YouTube. So now they're commercial gain or some nonsense. So in case you're curious, by the way, the song was Because I Got High. It came out in 2001. That's the song he's best known for. And it's actually a very, very entertaining song. I like that song. Now, it's funny. It actually is anti-drug because he's talking about all the bad things that happened to him because he got high. And there's actually a funny story behind it. He recorded the song fairly low budget, and it became known to people because at one point someone sent it into Howard Stern, and Howard Stern played it. That's one of the places it gained notoriety. But of course, later on, it was in the soundtrack to Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. And so it is now a very, very well-known song. It's been heard a lot of times. I hope he made some money off it. It wasn't all just spins on YouTube. But that's the song that came out in 2001. But Afroman now is going to have to defend himself in court because the police officers who raided his house and were filmed in the process of raiding his house say that it's not fair or legal for him to use their images in videos that he shot inside his own house. And remember, the warrant turned up nothing except money, which they miscounted because when they gave it back to him, it was less than they said they had taken. Now, in algebra, I learned how to calculate these things and figure out, what's bigger and smaller and the difference therein. But they're claiming there was no difference because the receipt they gave him for the money was for a miscounted stack of money. So that was just them counting badly. Now, of course, if they had video of that like you do in a teller's cage in Vegas, we could figure out about the miscounting, but then we'd have to use that video. They don't want that used. So we'll see what happens. I will follow the case. Michael, Stephen, Ken, and Andrew sent this to me. Thank you very much. Oh, Aaron also. Aaron. Afroman sued by law enforcement officers who raided his home from WXIX. Brian Planup wrote that. And, of course, Afroman is Joseph Edgar Foreman. Godspeed. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Okay, you have to stop the Q-tip when there's resistance.